In this lecture, we're going to learn how to bypass authentication by manipulating cookie values. Now, this doesn't always happen and it's not always possible, but it's possible when the session management is programmed in a way that can easily be bypassed. And I'll talk more about that once we actually do the attack. But before we do anything, we need to have a plugin that allows us to modify our cookies. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go on Google and look for cookie editor, Firefox. And I'm gonna download Cookie Manager Plus. All you have to do is just click on the link, add to Firefox, and install. And it's gonna ask you to restart, so I'm gonna restart it. And it should be installed now. Now, the cookies are used to authenticate users after they log in. So for example, once you go in here and log in, I've already created an account on this. You can create one by just clicking on the register here. And the account that I created, the username is Zaid. And the password is 123456. Now, once I log in here, you'll notice that every time I go to a different page, I don't have to log in again. So every time I just browse through this website, you'll see that I don't get presented to log in again. And everywhere I go, it knows that I'm logged in as Zaid. Now, this is possible based on cookies. So every time I go to this website or to these pages, they know that Zaid is trying to get in here because the cookies are stored in my browser, and every time I request something from this website, the cookies are sent to that web page and it's telling it that Zaid has already authenticated himself and he is just trying to display this website. So even if I close this, so I'm just going to close Methylday and just get back to it again. You'll see that I'm still logged in as Zaid. Now, cookies have a date of expiry and they'll expire after a while. Sometimes the cookies are configured in a way that they can be easily manipulated. So let's have a look on the cookies for this website. Now, if we go, I'm going to click on Alt to display the menus here. And then I'm going to go on Tools, Cookie Manager Plus. And I'm going to search for the name of this website, which is 10.20.14.2.12. And that will display all the cookies that have been sent. So you can see that the PHP SSID and all these cookies. You can see that there's two interesting cookies. One of them is called username and the other one is called user ID or UID. So this is really interesting. And if we click on edit, you'll see that we have the name of the cookie is UID or user ID and the content is 17. So you can try to guess that means that this cookie is telling this page that the user ID of the person who's trying to visit this page is 17. So we can guess that the user ID for Zaid for the user that I just created is 17. So what we can do is we can try to modify this to a different value and see what happens. And often admin users are created first at every website. So we can try to go for 1. So I'm just going to delete the 7 and I'm going to keep it as 1. And then we're going to save the cookies like this. I'm going to close that. And then I'm just going to refresh the page. And now you can see that I'm logged in as admin and I can browse the website and do anything that the admin is allowed to do. And we managed to do this very simply by modifying our cookies and changing our user ID to user ID number 1. So this was possible because the cookies that are used are very simple. Now, cookies should be more complicated, so they should actually use what's known as session IDs or tokens. These tokens should be very complicated and not relate to the user ID. That way, I wouldn't be able to know what the user ID, even if I know that the admin has a user ID of 1, I wouldn't be able to know what token that admin is using. So they should be dynamically generated based on each user, and they should vary from time to time. So even for the same user, every time he logs in, they should get different token randomly based on some parameters, so that it's very difficult for anybody to know what token each user gets. Otherwise, it'll be very easily for people to guess what token the admin or any other user has and just inject it into their browser. Now, using complicated tokens and session IDs is still vulnerable for man-in-the-middle attacks, and we've seen that in plugins like Firesheep and in programs like Ferret and Hamster, where I actually explained that in my network penetration testing course, where you could gain access to any user account as long as the people are on the same network as you. So even if the token is really complicated, you'll be able to capture that token and then inject it into the browser. But the main idea is the website is not vulnerable because you can't guess it yourself. You have to actually capture that token from another person and then inject it. Whereas in here, we were able to just know or guess that the admin has an ID of 1, inject it, and then log in as admin.